Hey everyone, and welcome to the Weekly Marketer Podcast. Every single week, we interview deep dive experts in one of the many fields of marketing to drop huge knowledge bombs from the best of the best and teach you how to take your marketing skills to the next level. This is episode 22, and I'm sitting with friend of the show, Gil David, the first person to ever return to the show, who runs an agency called Run DMG, recently became a Facebook marketing consultant, and was an extra on Game of Thrones. Gil, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me back.
Let's talk plot inconsistencies here. This is a Game of Thrones podcast now. You were killed in the Battle of Winterfell, but yet you showed up 2 episodes later. Explain yourself.
I rose again. I rose from the dead.
Yeah, well, the King's last act, I suppose.
It was my twin brother, anyway.
Oh, it was a twin. Okay, yeah. That's what it was. Got it. How are you?
Yeah, good man. How about you?
Yeah, good. So,
how's the little man?
He's good.
Young Emmett.
Yeah, Emmett's doing well. Yeah, he's like kind of learning to babble talk like really recently. Okay. And he stands now. He stands on his own, which is cool.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
and have you put him through Blueprint yet?
I haven't put him through Blueprint yet. No. He is Twitter certified though.
Cool.
I don't even know if they have a certification program, to be honest.
Probably is one, but yeah.
Yeah. So
not as good as the FMC one.
Oh no, almost certainly not. So yeah, let's talk about that first. So Facebook marketing consultant, what does that mean?
Yeah, so it's a program they launched. I think it was in October, November last year, and the whole point of it is it's not for full blown agencies. It's more for consultants and freelancers, and it's not actual ads management. It's more kind of slightly techie stuff. So it's pixel installations and setup, and catalog feed, product feed and catalog setups as well, and then sort of some bits of troubleshooting as well. So I think if people are having troubles with pixels, then they go to Facebook, and then Facebook sends them to one of the qualified FMCs. It's something a bit different from the daily ads management that I do for a lot of clients on retainers. I've done like everyone does. We all do pixel setups probably, and catalogs setups and things like that. So it's something a bit different. And then I think Facebook give them an ads voucher as well. So I think most of them get like 1 or 2K in ads vouchers if they use the FMC program. So that's quite a big incentive for people. And then there's like a kind of private group. I'm sure they have like meetups or things like that. I might get to go to head office. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, and like I say, it's something a bit different from just spending all day managing accounts, which can get a bit boring sometimes.
Yeah, a little bit.
yeah. You know the feeling.
I've adjusted the bid by $1. This is basically like being Don Draper in 2019. No, that's cool though. That is really cool. So you're doing these pixel installs. How much do they like charge for those pixel installs? And is it like truly custom work, or is it like, in your experience so far, is it like Shopify stuff and WooCommerce and things like that?
I think I did the certification back in January, and then I've been a bit slow. Like you have to get them reviews and do a couple of other things and send them stuff. And then I finally got a call. The last stage is basically you have an interview with someone at head office. So I just had a chat with the 2 guys. They're really cool. That was on Monday, I think it was. So I had a chat with them for 20 minutes. They were just kind of finding out more about me, telling me more about the program, how it works, all that kind of stuff. And then basically they decide there if you're going to get approved or not. And they said, yeah, we think it'd be good for the program. So you're in basically. So then, yeah, I'll get emails and stuff, and there's a couple of things to fill out in the next couple of weeks, and then I'm officially on the program. So yeah, I'm not sure exactly kind of how much they charge for stuff like that, but it's definitely things like, Shopify installs and setting up feeds. I think that there is WooCommerce as well, and then maybe some custom stuff too.
I was curious because I have a client that we've been having a heck of a time trying to get the pixels set up, but they have like a very custom web app, and so it's kind of a whole thing. But I don't know, maybe something to look into. So this Facebook marketing consultant, do you see this as kind of like, kind of taking it broader? Do you see this as like a push for Facebook to try and onboard more people? Is it this like some sort of filtering mechanism for them? Because they've made a lot of moves, it seems like, to try and automate away a lot of the kind of account managers, if you will, right? Because I'm not going to say media buyers, and I'm not going to say like ad agencies, because those provide a lot of value, right? At like a high level, what people like Tim and stuff are doing is like can't really be replicated by like machine learning. And then on the other side, agencies like bringing like tons of custom creative and stuff like that also can't really be replaced. But it seems like those low level people that are like, I just signed a client, how do I run Facebook ads, that seem to populate some of the like advertiser groups? It seems like they're trying to automate those people away, right? And so do you see this as kind of like
probably a good thing?
Almost certainly. Nothing makes my blood boil quite like, got a client with a $2,000 monthly retainer. How do I set up a dynamic product ad? It's just like, oh my God, you're ruining the industry. But so do you see like this marketing consultant thing as kind of part of that push to like get qualified experts when they do need experts for that sort of thing? So like automate what they can and then do like kind of more of a certification qualification program. I mean, this is a move that kind of seems like what Salesforce does, right? Where they have like app marketplace, then they have certified experts, and then they also just keep adding more and more features and such.
Yeah, well, I think there's kind of a gap maybe between, like we'll know from speaking to reps or Facebook marketing consultants, a lot of them don't. I think they might be trying to change it now, but a lot of them don't run ads. They're just reading off scripts and stuff like that. So there's kind of a gap when companies that don't really know what they're doing go to Facebook. They get the kind of the textbook way of doing stuff from people that aren't actually running hundreds, thousands, millions of pounds worth of ads themselves. So obviously, at the high level, they've got the actual partner program for the bigger agencies, and they've got a ton of creative partners and data partners, stuff like that. I just saw today they've got like one big agency who's a creative partner for each platform. So one for WhatsApp, one for Instagram, one for Facebook. I guess like their tech support, again, I guess they don't want to have a fully fledged tech support department either, really, because sometimes it's hard to get hold of people on the chat or whatever. They don't want anyone ringing them direct. So I suppose this way of they find people that they've certified them, so they know their knowledge level is good. If they want, they can dig around in your account, in your personal account, whatever they want to do. They know that these people, they can trust them. If a business comes to them and says, we've got a problem, how do we fix this? And Facebook doesn't necessarily have the capability to do it or the hours to do it, then they can send these people to one of the FMCs, and they know that they'll get a good level of service from them.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. I mean, I see. So like, I mean, maybe that's the way of the future, right? Because this is how Microsoft does it. This is how Salesforce does it. This is how like Google to a large extent does it, right? Which is these certification programs, things like that, trying to like solidify the universe. And the nice thing, so like, I mean, basically what ends up happening is that becomes kind of like a de facto sort of thing. And those people get to charge a lot more money, can actually make a decent living as an agency. And then like most 90 some odd % of the advertisers go away. And then the ecosystem changes too, because then you end up having like the course creators and stuff like that, like the actual high value course creators end up getting kind of a lot more leverage, because then a lot more people are DIYing it if they aren't able to go with an agency. So it's kind of an interesting kind of change in the landscape. But I mean, hopefully Facebook moves in that direction. Honestly, most of the advertisers I talk to day to day, I'd say probably half of them should just go away.
I'm sure you've been through most of the Blueprint modules, which it's good. It's good on a very basic level, but then there's a huge gap above that in terms of official knowledge from Facebook. And I think once people get past Blueprint, they've got the new the Power 5 that they've rolled out and they're promoting to everyone, which is basically DPAs or dynamic creative, CBO, advanced matching, turning that on, and I can't remember what the other ones are. But it's pretty much, set everything up and leave it to Facebook. So there's a gap above in terms of knowledge on an official level from Facebook once people get through Blueprint. And then I think a lot of people, I don't know, have you done the actual cert for Blueprint?
I haven't done. I didn't pay for it. No.
Yeah. So I know, but most people don't really see much point in it, really, because it's like $100 and it's quite a strict test. You have to sit down and they've got to have your camera turned on. They're watching you the whole time, stuff like that. So but I know, Depeche, don't you, from like he's in Adley, he's got his own group and course and stuff like that, and he's pretty well connected. So I know he says Facebook look at courses like his that are from people that they know what they're talking about. That's sort of a good next level for them from Blueprint, because it's probably not something they want to do themselves at a higher level than just Blueprint, which is setting up ads. There's a lot of good stuff in Blueprint, but yourself, in terms of actually managing and optimizing ads on any kind of scale, there's not really too much in there.
Sure. Yeah, that's an interesting thing. I mean, so again, kind of drawing parallels like Google and Salesforce and other big tech companies, kind of if they follow that path, and it seems like they're kind of heading there, it'll be like you graduate Blueprint, right? And then you're in like the certified partners, like directory or what have you. And then after that, they have like outsourced training people that they trust that like, they can direct you to that are like somehow, affiliated as like a partner or something like that. And then, but I mean, the knowledge gap's pretty big, right? Like, I mean, it's the same with Google Academy for Ads, right? Yeah, they'll run you through the basic features, but it doesn't really talk about like strategy, right? Or like, honestly too, a lot of it, what's hard is that you can know the platform backwards and forwards, but that doesn't teach you basic advertising skills. You know what I mean? Like how to write like decent copy.
Basic marketing skills.
Right. Yeah. How to write decent copy. What is like kind of a thumb stopping like piece of creative, right? Like how to tell a visual story, like that sort of thing, which, ironically, like, I think a lot of people were able to, is kind of coming back, right? Like the timeless sort of lessons are coming back. And like, I think a lot of people for a long time were able to kind of just get by with just knowing the technical bits. But as all of these companies are kind of evolving and they're all kind of incorporating, kind of automation and machine learning and stuff like that for the actual media side of it, which is better for them and better for most advertisers, I would say. I think that it's going to just kind of keep moving in that direction where creative is going to be kind of, for the 2020s, if you will, creative is going to be king again until we get some sort of like giant jump in technology again, in which case the technical operators will be there. Now, that said, I think there's always going to be a place for great media buyers. You can attach yourself to a great creative person as a media buyer and do quite well. But I'm just talking about kind of the lower 80% or whatever, right?
Kind of obviously, going back a few years on Facebook, there was lots of different bidding strategies and stuff like that people would try and hack to make even average creative work and get results from. And you could do it, at that time. But now, and, you're probably seeing this yourself, the first thing is you have to have decent creative. You can't get away with bad creative these days, no matter what bidding strategies you're trying to do. And if you do find good creative, it'll pretty much work in, most of the places you're trying it without having to, do a load of different manual bidding and stuff like that. And especially for smaller clients, you're probably better off with on auto bid anyway. And just, and this is where a lot of, I think, small advertisers miss, the importance of creative, and they're too busy trying testing, 50 different audiences and try and manual bidding too early, when really they should just be focused on, finding, one or two versions of creative that are going to deliver in terms of, good ROAS.
I think that one of the things that's hard with that, and I think that one of the reasons that the ecosystem has kind of ended up that way, like if you're not an advertiser with tons of wins under your belt and things like that, it's hard to sell creative. Like just say, I'm going to make you beautiful images and thumb stoppers and everything else, right? Like it sounds very fluffy to somebody that doesn't really understand it. That's why you go, I'm going to, X ROAS or whatever and bidding strategies, and it all sounds very technical, right? And it's like you can position yourself as this like data-driven marketer, which is a little easier to sell to non-savvy clients. Ironically, the savvy clients are able to kind of pick up that as bullshit. But yeah, it's an interesting thing. And so I think that I agree with you. I think a lot of the ecosystem, though, is kind of client driven in that way. You know what I mean? Which is unfortunate in a way that like more advertisers don't stand up, and say, no, actually what really matters here is...
But I think more are realizing it more and more these days. You're seeing people saying how important creative is, and not the first thing you think of is new creative rather than, let's try 10 different bidding strategies.
Yeah. There was a guy I saw who did a post in one of the ad leaks groups, I think. And he was talking about how he kind of saw the writing on the wall like 2 years ago or something and shut it all down and started like a video studio and is now just killing it. One of the hottest ad agencies around Denver is like just a shoot on demand studio. You literally just rent it out for a day. They have people sitting there, creative directors and stuff, and they help you pull together a commercial in one day. You show up with your product or whatever, and you just do it. and like everybody loves it, right? It's just like basically on demand. It's like if it's the day before, like I think you only need like 12 hours of notice or something like that. Yeah, they'll show up. They'll have a copywriter there. They'll have a videographer. They'll have photographers. All that, whatever you need, and it's just a 1 day shoot. And like you'll come out of it with just a ton of different creative, right? And like they'll come up with concepts on the spot and everything else. So it's kind of an interesting to see the direction that things are going.
Yeah, and that's cool. If you can get a load of assets, or even a few videos done and images in 1 day, you can use those for months, because you can cut one video. If it's a minute long video, you can cut it 45 seconds, 30 seconds, 15 seconds for stories. Put different text on it, different thumbnails, so that there's so much you can do with just even one version of creative.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just mixing, remixing. Yeah. That's one of the big things, right? Like I kind of realized that I'm just kind of shit at creative. So I just hired a creative director. I was like, I have no interest I'm not very good at this at all.
But that's good that you admitted it to yourself and said, right, I'm going to find someone who can do it better.
I'm just not particularly passionate about I'm not passionate about the details. That's kind of my whole problem, right? Is like, I'm very like run and gun with it's like, whether it's my podcast or my videos are very utilitarian, and that appeals to some people, but that's not really what clients buy, where I'm just like sitting in front of my webcam, like running through like how their product's cool or whatever. Like, like, oh, this is a Coca-Cola. And, I think it tastes pretty all right. There's kind of this weird bitter aftertaste, but like, I kind of like it. Like that doesn't really do it, So kind of actually talking about that, have you kind of heard about this like micro influencer patent that Facebook has like done or whatever? I think it was a patent that like is why it came to light.
No.
So what Facebook is supposedly the future of like kind of positioning for the influencers, and I'll talk about it and then we can kind of just discuss, is they are using image recognition technology to basically say, if they see your product that is tagged in somebody's personal photos, right? Like just anybody, they will bring it to you. You'll get like a notification, and then you could say, do you want to boost this to all of their friends for $5 or whatever, to like brands? And basically eliminating a lot of influencers, right? And so saying that rather than, I don't know, Guinness, right? Guinness running like an ad saying buy Guinness, right? Which they'll probably also do. They'll be able to say like, okay, somebody's just sitting there and they're like, is this a photo that you want to promote? And if it's like brand safe or whatever, it's like, yeah. And then you pay that. It doesn't say that it's an ad, and it just makes sure that like all of their friends see it, right? It doesn't promote beyond their friends list. What do you think about that?
Sounds creepy as fuck.
We are well past the creepy as fuck threshold with Facebook. Yeah,
so I can be sitting in a pub drinking a Guinness, and if I put something, is it Instagram or just Facebook?
I'm Googling it right now. It'll probably be both
anyway. But yeah, so yes, and so if I put a picture on Facebook of me drinking a Guinness, Facebook will send that to whatever Guinness over here in Ireland and say, look, do you want to boost this to all Gil's friends? And they can just do that, and it doesn't even say it's an ad.
Yeah, so basically, so it's Fast Company. Facebook's been awarded for a patent for technology that could let the social network scan through your photos, see what products you like, send the data to advertisers, and then sell them the ability to boost that to your friends list. So like if I'm sitting there with, I don't know, a Carhartt hat on, they'll like send it to Carhartt and say, hey, do you want to, I'm out in the park having a beer. And they're like, yeah, that works for us. That's
that guy's really good looking.
Yeah, that guy, wow. that's the prettiest man I've ever seen. Yeah. So they have that conversation, and then they go, yeah, let's pay, $5 to make sure all of his friends see him doing that.
As an advertiser, yeah, I think, yeah, great. But then as an actual human being, I think, fuck, that is creepy, yeah.
Yeah. But the upside, right? It is creepy. We're well past the creep threshold with Facebook, but the upside.
And we know they use image recognition for profiles as well, don't they? Like it says, because you can already get a notification, can't you? I think you can set it up so that get it to take a picture of your face, or they've already got your face hundreds of times on your photos, and then you can get a notification, I think, if they detect a picture of your face anywhere else on Facebook.
Yeah. So we're talking about the company here that encouraged Australians to upload their naked photos of themselves so that they could use their image recognition technology to take down naked photos shared in Messenger, right? So we're well beyond their shame in analyzing our photos for weird purposes. So it's send your nudes to Facebook employees.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Absolute nonsense. But yeah. So I mean, I guess the upside of this, right, is that there's a lot of shitty influencers out there, like influencer inventory, I guess you could say. It's almost impossible to discern what's bots and just crap versus what's actually like something halfway decent. And so like maybe, I mean, if the plus side, yes, it's creepy, but they're already probably doing this to some degree, right? It's just like more intentional. And if the alternative is that 95% of influencers get wiped out, I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing. I don't need to see another, oh, this is my dog's Instagram account. You know what I mean? Because they're like trying to like, because their dog is so special and interesting and like that needs to like, the world needs to see, like, you know?
And they're like, my dog is wearing this dog collar, and they at the company, and they're like, oh yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Like if we get rid of that, is that such a bad thing? I don't know. I mean, I still think it's creepy, but I'm just kind of playing devil's advocate.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they've taken steps to kind of get rid of the, they deleted a load of fake profiles, and influencers were complaining that their follower accounts had dropped, and I think they're still testing it in Canada where you can't see how many likes there is on posts and stuff like that.
I've been getting that actually in the US. So half of the post, I can't see the like count. It only shows me if people I follow like a post, but I've only been getting it sporadically. But they're clearly testing it in the US as well.
Which I think is, I think fair play. I think that's a good thing because, I say it's for kind of the well-being of users and their mental health and stuff like that. Because especially if like we're old anyway, but like kids growing up these days and they see that the most important thing is to if you get 100 likes on your Instagram post and then they're thinking if I post something that only gets 20 likes, what's wrong with me? Is it's not good for their mental health. So I think from that kind of aspect, it's only a good thing. And the only people I saw complain about it was influencers and stuff like that, and they were like, "Oh no, it's terrible." But yeah, I think that's one things we can say. I think it's a good move for Facebook/Instagram.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm just curious if like the method of basically doubling down on the creepy shit they're doing to like try and make it better. It feels very utopian, you know what I mean? Like kind of like some USSR stuff. Like it's like, like, no, comrades, see, we just need to redistribute more and then everything will work out. It's like, let's go further down the rabbit hole.
And we'll even launch our own currency as well.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And now we'll have Facebook bucks. You know that they do that on their campus, right? Like you can get paid in Facebook bucks and buy at the Facebook store and stuff.
Oh, I did hear something like that.
Yeah, it was something like that. Don't quote me on that. For Facebook's attorney, please don't sue me. I don't know if that's true. That's half remembered. Somebody told me. I don't know.
I've heard something similar. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah,
I think that's just for employees, I think, isn't it?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's just employees. I actually have a client that sells in their employee store, which is interesting. But so moving on, kind of what are you seeing working with Facebook these days? Because we've been CBO's inconsistent and all this machine learning and stuff, and they keep taking the ad platform down on a weekly basis just for fun, I assume, just to like give me a mini heart attack on Friday. But it's yeah, so what do you actually? Yeah, it is. Well, except for the time it was Monday.
Yeah, was that last week or this week? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. The days meld into each other. Yeah. So what are you seeing working though? Like what's going well for you right now?
Yeah, I'm still not really liking CBO. Like I was saying to you before, I'm trying it more in accounts because obviously if we're going to get moved to it for September, we all need to be ready for it. But yeah, for me, it's still not working the way they say it is and the way it's supposed to. And also, particularly if it's a smaller advertiser, the general wisdom is you have to kind of leave them for at least 2-3 days, no matter how bad they are. But if a lot of smaller advertisers, or if you've got a new client, you can't afford to just, dump budget into something and just pray that it's going to be good in 3-4 days. And then even where I have got CBO kind of working, I'm always thinking in the back of my mind, would this be doing better if it was in ABO, in ad set budget optimization? But I've got a new client. So we started on the 1st of June, and there was they haven't spent much. They've been running ads for about 2 years, but they haven't spent much the last 6 months probably. But there's still some okay data in the account. And then I'm always surprised when I do an audit and I see that an agency's taken over an account, or an ads consultant, and they just pretty much ignore everything that's gone before and just start from scratch. So what I did with this account was, and also because it was when I was I was just starting work when I was over in Madrid for the Champions League final. So I knew I was going to be away for a few days. I wasn't going to be kind of 100%, and I wanted to kind of test a couple of things. So what I did was I took the best 5 ad sets, I think it was, from the last 6 months in the account that I think all but one of them had been switched off for some reason. And I always, you probably see the same thing, but whenever I audit an account or take over a new account, I always take something in there and I'm looking at it, or at least one or a handful of things, and you look at it and you think, why was that even switched off, or are they not looking at accounting for delayed attribution or anything like that? So I had these 5 ad sets, and this account, the goal is to be at least a 5x in this account, and then for the last couple of months it's been at just running 3.5. And it's a $700 product as well, so it's not an impulse buy. So I just threw the CBO together, put the 5 best ad sets in, had it running at I think it was $200 a day. And the first 2 days, it was pretty bad, no purchases. And then I think it was on the third or maybe even the 4th day, and it just started getting purchases. And it's been running now. It's running at about a 4 TOF. So if I can get a 4 TOF, I'll take that, because the retargeting's running at kind of 6, 7, 8, 9x. So yeah, so that was interesting. So I'm kind of seeing how long I can keep it going for, because my experience with CBOs is you can get them going and they do well for a few days, and then it just kind of crashes and you have to keep duping stuff, and it's a lot harder work than it should be.
Yeah, that's been kind of my issue recently with Facebook in general, honestly, has been, and I find that it does bounce back, but a lot of my clients are, kind of more small business. Well, not small business, but most of them are kind of,
they can't sit there waiting.
Yeah, exactly. They're medium-sized business, right? And so when Facebook does its CBO nonsense and does oh, I'm going to give you, oh, you're going for 100 leads this week? Great. Let me give you 100 leads inside of 1 hour on Tuesday, and then nothing for the rest of the week. And then next week, Wednesday, I'll get 50. And I'm yeah, it does bounce back, but that sort of inconsistency is really difficult for kind of smaller advertisers. You know what I mean? I think it's because they've kind of revamped kind of how their auction works. If I can speculate, at least it seems in the last maybe 6 months, year, the auction's been kind of revamped.
Yeah, I think a lot of people notice things changing. I think there was 3 periods in the last year, maybe. So the first one was in was it last May, June, when they got rid of third-party data, and then a lot of people noticed kind of especially lookalikes kind of stopped doing as well for a few months. And then there was how many days was it in November? Black Friday, when it was down for was it a whole day or 2 days even?
Yeah, it was a day and a half, I think. Yeah.
And then kind of things never seemed to not quite get back the same after that. And then there was definitely since the outage in March, when it was down for a day, I think it was on the 13th of March, when there's definitely a difference in the auction. And something else, I don't know if you've noticed this as well, but I've noticed this, and a lot of people I speak to have seen this as well. Even in CBO or ABO, ad sets, frequency to cold audiences seems to be getting up a lot higher than it would have done in the past. And in delivery insights, the first time impression ratio just drops massively without even you can be spending hundreds a day, not thousands, and it's dropping. One guy said his was under 30% within I think 4 or 5 days, something like that, which is crazy to an audience of 50 million.
It's gotten to the point where I've actually I've noticed, and this is a thing that I've just really noticed, is the difference between a $50 a day ad set for a client, right, and a $500 a day one is, everything held equal, the $500 a day will absolutely crush my goals. Amazing. Awesome. $50 a day, no performance. Will hit frequency 3 on an audience of 3,000-4,000 people. Right. And so I've gotten to the point where the tactic that I've been doing mostly is I've actually just said, you know what, screw monthly spends. I'll just go to my client and I say, look, this is the way it is now, and I know you don't have the money, and I'm not asking you for the money, but instead of doing, let's say, what, $50 a day, or like $50 a day every day for the month, so like $1,500 a month, right? Let's do $250 a day for like 6 days, and then we'll turn it off, or we'll turn it down to $1 for the rest of the month, and then we'll just spike it back up the next month. That's been kind of working. I mean, it's inconsistent, but like it's better than guaranteed failure. It's just they've just so obviously put like these like prioritized budget.
At the same time, I know, like I tried in one account and it worked well for a few days, and then the account completely crashed until yesterday. But and I know some other people have been trying, the old $1 ad set strategy. So you launch like 100 $1 or $1.50 ad sets. I tried, it was a $5 ad set, so I think I launched like 10 or 15 in one account, and it did well for a few days, and then just suddenly, it was last Thursday, without any warning, like CTR was actually higher than it had been. CPC started creeping up a bit, but no warning, and then we're just getting suddenly half the purchases that we were having before. And then I was at the stage of I was just going to completely rebuild the account yesterday morning, and I woke up, my time, which is early in the States, and this is an account that was, it's anything above a 2.5 is good, and it started off a 4 yesterday. And we got as many purchases as we were before, just completely randomly, when I was thinking, this account's been in the tank for like 6 days now. It's kind of frustrating, really, because there wasn't any logic to why it crashed. I was trying new creative, and then just suddenly, out of nowhere yesterday, it turned around again. So it is just very volatile at the moment, Facebook.
I don't know what to do with it. Hopefully it evens out soon. I mean, to me though, it just keeps pointing to so they have breakdown effect and everything else as explanations, but to me, it's just over and over, they're talking about, I really think that it's just this move towards saying, you know what, we don't want to deal with small advertisers anymore. We got the money that we wanted. It's too intensive to police the content of all of these small advertisers, right? I wouldn't be surprised in the future that if this isn't some slow march with a consultant program, and then with the way to basically just get small advertisers off the platform, right? And just say, maybe eventually make the switch to say, only certified advertisers can actually do anything. We're only going to work with companies that self-certify, or agencies that'll get certified and can shepherd ads on behalf of clients or whatever. I don't know, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not saying that I've seen anything that says that, but yeah.
And that for me would be a shame, because there's a lot of businesses that have been built off Facebook ads. Starting off a couple $100 a day, scaling up to thousands a day, and literally there's businesses that have been built purely off Facebook ads. So it'd be a shame if now they're kind of going away from that, and they're saying, "Oh, you already have to be spending 10, 15K a month starting up right out the gate, or we're not interested." Or we can do is just local businessy stuff, which you can probably still get by with doing, as long as you're not using conversion objectives. But yes, it'd be interesting to see what direction they go. But it does seem like they're, if they are pushing everyone to CBO, and it does take bigger budgets to make it work, that they are pushing smaller advertisers off the platform, which I know is a concern a few people have raised with them.
Well, I think that part of it is maybe they are trying to push small advertisers off the platform, but they don't want to do a ban or something. So they're just making it so that the only thing that works is big budgets. I don't know. But I do find that concentrating it works well. So, and then I'm going to hit you with a hot button issue that's kind of more advertising general. UK just banned harmful gender stereotypes in advertisements, which is interesting. The UK's advertising watchdog, the Advertising Standards Authority. So what do you think about that? Is that good, bad? I mean, more than good, bad, what do you think the practical implications are? I'm not going to ask you to get too political or anything, but
yeah, I'm just I think the best response to that I saw, I think it was a tweet or something I saw when I saw the news earlier, and it was someone that said, there's no need for them to be doing this. If an ad, if it's a bad ad that is, like the Gillette ad got a lot of stick recently for going too far, certain stereotypes of men and stuff like that. The people will let them know, and the people will vote. because they'll let the company know about it. We don't need the ASA treating it like a nanny state and telling us what we can and can't see and exactly what advertisers can and can't do to that extent.
Yeah, the question always becomes, when something like an entire, especially something really squishy, right, like stereotypes are harmful. Who decides that?
Yeah, well, who decide? Isn't it stereotyping in the first place to say that something's a stereotype?
Right, exactly. Yeah. And I mean, again, not going to get into kind of like the broader sort of like what is and isn't a stereotype and things like that. But yeah, I mean, aren't they stereotyping are like they inventing stereotypes? I mean, could this thing be easily abused? It's really interesting.
Yeah, it's another one of those things where, they're just trying to more and more governments are trying to kind of police what people can and can't do. They brought in, I think it was just in the EU or maybe even just the UK, but they have new kind of privacy laws that they're bringing in, and they're trying to control internet usage and stuff like that. It's slowly getting towards, one of those films that have been coming out for 20 years where it's in the future and it's like an authoritarian state and like Judge Dredd or something like that, which it would have seemed ridiculous 10 years ago, but now you can see the way politicians are slowly going and the way they want to be able to control everything.
I think from an advertising perspective, just to kind of shift the conversation a little bit, I think it entrenches like kind of big agencies, right? Because if I'm a big agency, I'm all for this. You know what I mean? Because more regulation, more that sort of thing, right? Basically, it's saying like it gets to the point where it's like banking or something like that, right? Where there's so many regulations and things like that it doesn't even resemble anything close to a free market anymore. And it just entrenches the players that have been around forever, rather than like have any sort of semblance of competition or anything like that.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what impact it has. And the thing is, we probably won't see too much because we just won't see the type of ads that we might have seen before, which is a shame, because it'll promote companies, not being, not trying to be innovative or not trying to be too different, because they'll be scared that they'll spend hundreds of thousands on an ad and then the ASA says, oh no, it's gender stereotyping, so that's that money's down the drain.
Yeah exactly. What is a gender stereotype? Is like a man lifting weights? Is that a harmful gender stereotype? Seriously, is that a harmful gender stereotype? Is a woman buying a dress a harmful gender stereotype? I have no idea how they're defining that. It seems like it could be used also as like a hit piece, you know what I mean? Like you don't like, that's the other thing that we haven't talked about too, which is like active sabotage. Like if I'm, I don't know, Dollar Shave Club or something like that. Yeah. Do I like garner people to go after Gillette now to like get them slapped because like that's good business? Like if I like can even like twist something to be a harmful gender stereotype or something like that, right?
I don't even think I don't know if any of the other kind of like razor companies, shaving companies have made too much of it because they haven't had to. Like I've been served ads for Gillette recently for I think they do a subscription now or something, and you just look at the comments and it's wow, it's just like the damage they did to their brand with that one ad is amazing.
Yeah, and then there's like always like even the ads that are like the Nike one, right? Their quarterly earnings were just on the same projection as they've been for like the last 5 years. So it was kind of like an interesting one. Like that one raised a ton of, conversations and things like that. And then just revenues stayed at the same growth rate that it's been at forever. So it's interesting to kind of see some of that stuff.
And there was a story, because obviously I think they still sponsor Colin Kaepernick, so we won't get into that too much. But then I saw a story that there was a guy he was famous went viral on Twitter or something for burning Nike trainers. He owned a sports store somewhere in the US.
Oh yeah, that's actually right around here.
Okay,
yeah, that was down the road. Seriously, that's like 30-minute drive.
And then apparently like it caused so much of a storm on Twitter or social media. People basically boycotted the store and he had to close it down. I don't know if it's the same guy that's near you or a different one.
No, this is Colorado Springs, I think. I'm pretty sure that happened just down the road. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that the thing with that is that, like, if I could speculate, it seemed to me like I'm not going to carry Nike stuff was kind of more of a stunt to try and get people to come in. I think the store was already hurting and it backfired. No, it's interesting. It's interesting to kind of see how this, like, I guess, like touching on the kind of like, brands attaching themselves to social movements. Yeah, which is
obviously, it can be a good thing, but it just shows how damaging it is if you get it wrong.
I'm just gonna, yeah. So,
or if you misjudge your market.
Well, and the big thing is that once you get into that world, there's no unringing that bell. It then becomes like a constant kind of purity test. You know what I mean? Like if you take like a stand on the environment, right, or something, and say, okay, we're gonna do this, and we're all about the environment. We're gonna run a bunch of commercials about that. People are gonna start picking apart your manufacturing.
Oh yeah, like if your CEO drives a V12 Ferrari or something like that.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So how much do they care about the environment if the CEO is flying a private jet around and
exactly.
whatever, burns coal in his backyard for fun on the weekends or something? Like, I feel like when you attach yourself to those sort of movements, you're like opening yourself up for scrutiny, and it's like it's cheap and easy on the front end to do it. And then I think because it's easy to just say, oh, we take a stand, and then there's a bunch of people that give you a bunch of support out of hand, right? But do those people actually buy your product? Or are they just saying you're great on Twitter? And does that actually get you anything,
And using the hashtag.
Right, exactly, yeah. And so I feel like it's a cheap marketing stuff. I feel like the other thing too, and I'm just going to say this, I feel like a lot of advertisers, we're in a bubble. You know what I mean? Like the Gillette thing, just such a perfect example. So it's like, I think it's like 70% of marketers are women, and most of them live in like urban areas, right? And are younger. I don't really think that's who's mostly buying Gillette. Like, I don't have like the data, obviously, but like, to me, that then just seems like it's kind of like an out of touch move. You know what I mean? It's like really projecting their own biases into the marketing materials. So I guess touching on that, how would you as a marketer say that you like kind of are able to be empathetic with a customer base? And also talking about the bias thing.
It's strange. I mean, you'd think a company like that or their agency, because obviously, it's probably mostly their agency's fault, would be spending probably thousands on focus groups and people who are their target market and saying, does this message resonate with you in the first place? Because then surely they would have known, people would have been like, no, that's not what Gillette is. That's not what Gillette's about to me. You can't flip from, the best a man can get to that suddenly.
Yeah, whatever that was.
Yeah. So for me, if it's something like, I don't know, women's products, something like that, I like to think I'm quite empathetic anyway. But, I'll ask women, ask people who are in the target market, find out from them what they think of stuff. Like my wife gets bored sometimes because I'm saying to her, oh, what do you think of this? Would you buy this? which image here gets your attention most? And that kind of stuff. So yes, it all comes back to knowing your market. And if you don't know your market, speak to someone who does or who's in your market.
I think that's part of what gets lost in the whole data-driven marketing sort of thing, right? Is like, yeah, there's quantitative data and bidding strategies and all that are nice, but like, have you had a human conversation? I mean, even then, if you want some quantitative data, send out some surveys. You can pay to send out some surveys or whatever. It's not like particularly expensive. A couple $100, you could get 10-20 responses, right? And like at least have a good idea.
I think it was something maybe Maxwell Finn said in AdLeaks a few weeks back. Or it could have been Depeche, I can't remember, but they said they actually paid to send ads out for a survey for products to see what people thought. I can't remember if it was post-purchase or it was for why people didn't purchase, but basically promoting a kind of survey to get that kind of data back about, the real reasons why people were or weren't buying.
That's interesting. Yeah. And like the other thing, there's a lot of different ways that you can go about that. I think that as kind of advertising matures, especially, there's this large fragmentation with the kind of bringing of the, coming of the internet. And I think that there's going to be some sort of reconsolidation, maybe into silos or whatever. But I think that research data, and especially original research data, is going to start to be really highly coveted again. You know what I mean? Rather than just relying on, whatever somebody puts on their blog, right? Yeah. Like actually running your own research data and using that for insights. And actually, if you run your own, you could use that as content marketing later too. So something to think about. Well, Gil, thank you so much. I don't want to take up too much of your time. Again, truly another wonderful conversation about Facebook ads and advertising in general. And
politics, of course, social issues.
Politics, social issues.
The environment.
Favorite beer? You want to go get in a favorite beer real quick?
Favorite beer right now. I'm back on the original the original Budweiser before it was stolen from
The original
Czechoslovakia.
Budweiser.
Yeah, it's called.
Oh yeah, that
Budweiser,
one. Yeah. I've had that. It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
I've been trending towards lighter beers recently. You know,
Like, my standard one's Coors Light. I always have like a few Coors Light in the fridge.
Yeah, they brew it just down the street. I think it's the biggest brewery in North America. Yeah, by like barrel size or whatever. But yeah, no, it's cool. I've been Sapporo, Japanese beer.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Been into it. It's nice and light and crisp. It's good. They've got a good thing going on over there.
It's like, you don't really get that over here. I think I've had that a couple of times, but only in, I can't remember, maybe it was in the States or somewhere. But yeah, definitely not in the UK or Ireland.
Oh yeah. Interesting. All right. Well, Gil, thank you so much for joining us again. Do you have anything you want to pitch here at the end? I always let everybody do their like little pitch, agency or social cause or what have you.
I'm trying to grow my Instagram. I'm trying to get 1,000 followers by the end of July. I'm on I think 791. So if everyone listen to this, if you've enjoyed it, follow me at GoRunDMG. I try and put entertaining stuff on there, as Jeremy knows, as well as kind of work Facebook live stuff.
Yeah, it's an entertaining one. Belgians diving into fountains and stuff. Yeah, in Spain, all sorts of fun, and also a lot of like really informative ad stuff. Your Instagram has actually become the go-to. Your Instagram story has become the go-to for me. If I'm like, ads manager's throwing me a weird error, and I'm like, yep, Gil storied that like 15 minutes ago. All right, I'm gonna go. I'm not gonna worry about it.
Yeah.
It's not just me. So cool. All right. Well, everybody listening, take all of the wonderful rantings that we've had, apply them. There's a lot of awesome stuff happening. There's a lot of rough things happening. We talked about some different strategies that you can use for Facebook ads specifically to try and mitigate those. And happy marketing, everybody.